I'm very excited to announce this panel, the upcoming panel that we have. It is now time for discussion on localization of manufacturing within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the government incentives and subsidies. There will be opportunities for Q&A, so please do raise your hand if you have a question, and the microphone will be brought to you so everyone can hear your question really clearly. I would like to now welcome our moderator and panelists and introducing our moderator, Mr. Abhay Bhargav. He is Associate Partner and Regional Leader for Energy and Environment Practice within Frost & Sullivan. Engineer Aftab Ahmed, Chief Advisor for the Automotive Cluster with the NIDC under the Ministry of Investment for Saudi Arabia. Mr. Ahmad Al Malki, the Director for Automotive with the Ministry of Investment for Saudi Arabia. Mr. Ali Rizvi, Head of Program Management and Middle East Operations with Lucid Motors. Unfortunately, our fourth panelist, Mr. Sandeep Surana, could not make it today due to urgent business commitments, but we are really excited to have our panel on board right now. Mr. Abhay, over to you.
Well, thank you. Just a sound check. Am I audible? All right, good. That's one thing that worked. So it's nice to hear. We've just been told this panel is going to focus on the topic of localization. It's interesting because our previous speaker, when he was concluding his talk, just brought up 5 opportunities in the GCC, and the 5th one was localization. So it looks like we're bang on in terms of how we're in sync with things. Before we dive in, what I'd really like to do is we've got an awesome panel here, and I'd want them to talk about themselves. So maybe can we start with you, Aftab?
Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, thank you. My name is Aftab Ahmed. Some of you might be here yesterday. I had a speech also. My background, I am a chief advisor for automotive at National Industrial Development Center, which is under the Ministry of Industry. We call it Wazara Sana. And my background, for the last 5 years I'm here. My background is Michigan, Detroit. I started with the Ford Motor Company in 1989. And then I moved to General Motors and worked 25 years in around the globe, different countries, and different functions. So engineering, finance, purchasing, supply chain, almost everything. I've seen it. I'm glad to be here. Automechanika has given us the opportunity to talk. We can talk maybe 4 or 5 hours, but it's not unlimited time. It's only 30 minutes. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for allowing this opportunity. My name is Ahmed Al Malki. I do work in the Ministry of Investment. I've been privileged to work on the automotive project since 2017 and the beginning of the vision. And my background is mechanical engineering. I've graduated from the US, and since I was a little kid, I was been fascinated with engineering and automotive industry and how markets basically is so dynamic, and I'm really privileged and honored actually to work on all of the recent projects in automotive in close coordination with Ministry of Industry and NIDC and other stakeholders. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon. Thank you to Automechanika for the opportunity to be part of this panel. My name is Ali Rizvi. I started my career actually on the dark side with Cummins engines, working on diesel engines. And then I left automotive. I was in aerospace for about 13 years. Decided to come back and join Lucid Motors about 3 years ago. My first task was to kind of help set up the Lucid entity and kind of ramp things up here in the kingdom. So for the last 3 years, we've been building up Lucid here. So it's been an honor and pleasure.
Yep. Thank you so much as well, Ali. So, like you see, we've got a very interesting combination of people here, coming from the industry as well as from the government and the investment ecosystem. Gonna dive straight into the topic, which is about enabling localization. I'd probably just go in the round of how people are seating to make it a little easier, if I may. So, Engineer Aftab, one of the first questions here is, um, we've come in Saudi from a point where this was just a country that was a user of automobiles, yeah, and we're now at a stage where you've got Hyundai, Lucid, and Seat. All of a sudden, it's become probably one of the largest behemoths of automotive, at least for the region in entirety. Can you share a bit around what has been the kind of initiatives that were taken? What was the kind of strategy that was adopted to get so many successes in such a short period of time? Sorry, we need the mic up for.
Okay. Thank you very much, Abhay. Very good question, very important question. So I came here 5 years ago, almost. Um, and when we were presenting 300,000 vehicle vision locally produced, um, some of people were like, what are we talking? 300,000. Today, with the announced projects in Saudi Arabia, we have already achieved 380,000 um, with Sanam Sanyang project in the eastern province, with Sierra project, with Lucid project, and with Hyundai project. Hyundai is the last one came end of last year, and this is a reality. It's not a vision anymore, and more will come, inshallah. So one of the I said yesterday also, what is behind this success? And one of the important factor behind this success is when we are sitting partnering other ministries together. We have Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Investment, PIF, Ministry of Energy. SASO was here, we worked with them, SCGPA, all the entities. We are one unit. And 4 years ago it wasn't there. But recently, in last couple of years, we knew that without getting everybody together and working together, this is not possible. And the OEMs, the big OEMs like Lucid and Sierra. So this is a journey. And journey has begun a couple of years ago, or actually Ahmed has been in the sector since 2017. And some people actually started in 2008-9 and tried to bring the international suppliers, OEMs. But right now is the momentum. What brought, if you talk about the initiatives, I would say the first initiative is 2030 vision. His Royal Highness Crown Prince vision in the kingdom. And one of the pillar of Crown Prince vision is the thriving the economy and uh, transforming from oil-based economy to industrial-based economy. So that was the beginning. And automotive, being 35 years in automotive, I call it mother of industry. It is mother of industry. It is all the industries together.
Yeah.
So this was one of beginning, but we had national industrial strategy, which put some detail level parameters, KPIs, other things, and we are marching on it. I mean, we have delivered, as you can see how fast we are moving. It's not only OEMs. Our target is ecosystem. So we'll talk about this also later. Thank you.
Well, I think you brought up some interesting points there. Of course, talking about a strategy being in place, brilliant. a one unit approach. That sounds amazing. Most countries tend to suffer because they can't get their act together in terms of multiple people, working together. And that's that partnering aspect, and that's where you brought MISA into the perspective. So Emma, in fact, would want to know a bit more about that. Of course, we all know MISA has been a key facilitator for FDI into the kingdom, right? And you guys are playing an instrumental role when it comes to the investor journey. Really key aspect. So if we take a look at that, right? What can the investors come to expect from MISA? What can you talk a bit more about? Maybe the kind of incentives that are being brought in, the kind of subsidies that are being announced, that are out there, or anything around the investor journey facilitation. I'm sure the audience would love to hear that aspect.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. So I would like to step one step, backwards. Talking about what does Ministry of Investment bring to the table to our investors, whether we're talking about local or international. Ministry of Investment under the National Investment Strategy, they have a very big target of having more than $3.2 trillion of capital formation in the kingdom. And this will, it was translated to multiple KPIs and multiple targets from multiple industries. So if we take a look at the automotive industry, the announced projects of Pirelli, Hyundai, Lucid, and Sear combined, there are about 43 billion Saudi riyals, more than 12 or 13 billion dollars. So it's a testimony that to the effort and coordination and cooperation that is happening between the Minister of Investment, Minister of Industry, Minister of Energy, and so on. So, in relation to the services, Ministry of Investment has multiple international offices across the globe, covering the North America, European continent, China, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and others. Through these offices, we do generate leads. We communicate with international investors, the latest updates about multiple industries. And from there, we tend to meet with companies who are interested to explore those opportunities. So we work together in a government liaison type of services. We connect them to the sector owners, like Ministry of Industry in this case, and also Ministry of Energy and other related government entities. We help them with market studies aligned in coordination with stakeholders, and also connect them to customer. In the case of supply chain, tier one suppliers, they need to meet with the OEMs. Tier two, they tend to meet with the tier one suppliers. So through all of these efforts, we basically try to give the investor the proper, let's say, picture of the economy here in the kingdom. And also, we do help them apply for incentives, the standard incentives that is being given to all investors, whether they are local, whether they are Saudi, or international, or JV between both companies. This includes SIDF, Saudi Industrial Development Fund. They do provide loans up to 75% of capex. There is HRDF loans as well. They do cover training and direct subsidies for newly Saudi graduates. We have Exim Bank. We have very competitive utility rates, one of the lowest globally when we talk about especially electricity, of 4.8 cents US dollar per kilowatt hour. And last but not least, which is the special economic zone, if a specific or a certain project that tick all of the boxes and criteria to be in the zone, they could receive multiple benefits that will make sure that they succeed and basically grow from there.
Okay. Well, it sounds fascinating over there because what you just said is manpower, funding, and infrastructure. And those are essentially the top three building blocks any investor, manufacturer is going to be looking for support in. And you've just said that MISA's got them all covered. So that's quite interesting. Um, we've just heard the inputs from a couple of champions from the government itself. I'll now shift ourselves to the private sector. Ali, of course, coming in from Lucid, it's KSA's first car manufacturing facility. That's a big distinction. I think what I'm sure people here would love to hear is what has the journey been for Lucid? What did you encounter? What kind of support did you get as you navigated your way into setting things up?
Sure. I just want to echo, what my colleagues mentioned. I mean, in terms of the theory behind, what they want to provide and that singular vision, and we're kind of where the rubber met the road, right? So when I came in about 3 years ago, um, it was all greenfield, and it's just been an amazing journey, starting from the initial investment by the Public Investment Fund, the support we got there. I don't think we'd be where we are today without it. It's been critical. But then the real work started once we landed here. So that's where we got engaged with MISA. MISA has been an amazing partner, NIDC, SIDF, HRDF. I could name a lot of acronyms, but like, EXA, just along the way, because it's not just about financial incentives. It's sometimes the non-monetary incentives are more important. Um, so, things like the Saudi Green Initiative, where the whole country is looking towards electrification. We've seen where that, again, rubber met the road with the Ministry of Finance agreement that we had with LCGPA, where we're going to be providing um, the government with vehicles over the next 10 years. Um, and then additional support. I mean, that there's, every time we come into a challenge or a need, there is a government entity or a introduction that they can make that really, takes us to that next level. Then, so having that one vision, one goal. I mean, it's very rare where you have instances where a country has the will, ambition, resources to execute on something this massive, and we're seeing it. And as Lucid, we're partly the recipient of it, we're part of it, and we've been benefiting from it. So last year we started in September the first automotive EV factory in Kingdom, and we've been producing, assembling electric vehicles here in the Kingdom since then.
Interesting. And you're saying that when you guys started, it was just all entirely greenfield.
Absolutely.
And the whole thing moved through in about 3 years, huh?
Less than that. So I think, when we started, and Cake, again, I want to mention them. They've been an amazing partner, along with EXA, which is a regulator within
Right.
Cake. So just, EXA kind of acted as that one-stop shop where
Okay.
all our permitting needs, and we were able to get a factory up and running within, 12 to 13 months, producing vehicles, which is, quite an achievement.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, that's record time in almost any country
Yeah.
that I can look at, and especially for something as complex and large as the automotive sector.
Absolutely.
Not an easy feat, so it's interesting. And I guess that's a message for people who are looking at investing or participating, that there is a strong will and there is a lot of ways that the country is getting things up and running. So that's interesting. I guess, look, what we're talking about, of course, we wanted to focus a lot around, the incentives and subsidies, and I think we heard you all talk a bit about that. Land was talked about, and the loans and the utility costs, right? And of course, the economic zones and all of that comes with it. The way I look at it, there's another major incentive that comes in for anyone to set up manufacturing, and that's the value chain, right? You can't come in and set up something to manufacture if you don't have any kind of raw material or feedstock or components. I know all three of you would have something to say about the kind of value chain opportunities that you think
Yes.
can be locally manufactured here in the country, right? And I'm sure that's what's going to be of high importance to everyone here. What is it that you can bring up and talk about here that is viable to manufacture locally in Saudi? Open question to all
Yes.
three of you, please.
So let me start. First of all, just going back to the question, I just want to mention
Yeah.
my colleague Ahmed and Ali mentioned about the journey and how the government. So I lived in different countries. I mentioned Brazil, Thailand, Egypt, other countries, and I've seen from the OEM side. Now I am on the government side,
Okay.
and I have dealt in other countries with the government and the ministries, and I can tell you, and this is coming from the private, even partners, and even Lucid can testify, that the government usually is lagging and private industry is pushing,
Okay.
correct? And Saudi Arabia is other way around.
Okay.
We are pushing, and sometimes the private guys are saying, wow. So the help is here.
Okay.
They just need to make up mind, bring some investment on the table. Like Ahmed mentioned, the loan is available, the HRDF talent
Yeah.
available, there are other enablers.
Sure.
So this is the dynamics of the kingdom, okay, today. And Alhamdulillah, kingdom has the resources and the seriousness and commitment. These are the ingredients needed,
Sure.
and we will see that success. So coming back to the opportunities, and so one of the things, Saudi Arabia, we all know that Aramco is the biggest giant, correct?
Yeah.
And a lot of things are petroleum, secondary, materials.
Sure.
The plastic comes from there. Sabic is here big time. Rubber is available. Aluminium, Madan is available. Aluminum bauxite is available. So there are a lot of things in the raw material area. And we're looking at steel, Hadid is here and other things, but we're looking at steel strategy, which is important for the automotive. And pretty soon we will have the steel coil also locally, automotive grade available. So those things being there, definitely we're looking at conventional parts also, which are like tires, wheels, body sheet metal, mirrors, glass, HVAC, all these parts are the opportunities. And it's not only one supplier we're looking, because our target is 600 plus thousand vehicles, which is a big number, locally produced by somewhere between 2030 and 35. Actually, we think that we can beat and be much more than this number. The way we are seeing the interest coming from global OEMs, the Chinese companies, as you see how they are penetrating in this region, and they're very aggressive, correct? So we think a very positive vibe is coming not only from OEM side, but also from ecosystem side. And Pirelli announcement for tires, we are looking at alloy wheels, we're talking to several, and there are several global suppliers now attracted to Saudi Arabia, not only for Saudi Arabia market, there is a 2.2 million vehicle market in the region, which we call it GAFTA market, which is MENA, or part of the MENA, actually is Greater Arab Free Trade Agreement market,
Yeah.
which is 17 countries, and the big countries also. So Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Lebanon, Jordan, all these countries, and GCC. So our target is not only KSA, but bigger target. And to be honest, the talk we are having is not only just the region.
Yeah.
The companies are looking at even Europe. Europe is only 2 to 3 hours flight.
Sure.
and less than 7 days shipment, correct?
Sure.
So this is sky is the limit.
And just curious, since you brought that up about the export access, and then I'm going to come back to opportunities. Are you seeing cases where there is some level of export facilitation being offered by the Saudi government at the moment as a, I would say, not necessarily an incentive word, but even as a support mechanism? Are there tools being given by the Saudi government for
Yes.
exports?
Yes, so there's a export financing
Right.
available, Exim Bank.
Right.
We're looking at other means. So whatever we are importing,
Yeah.
first thing, we want to localize,
Yeah.
whichever is possible,
Yeah.
and then export.
Sure.
So because creating the scale
Sure.
is the goal.
Sure. And I think I remember one of the conversations maybe I was having with you, Ahmed as well, or with the MISA team. You keep getting investors coming in and presenting business plans to you, right? What has been your feeling on, let's say the competitiveness of local manufacturing on those plans? I mean, are you seeing investors come in and present plans that appear to be actually competitive for manufacturing here against other countries?
Yes, so in relation to the competitiveness for the kingdom, it's beyond just energy. Yes,
Right.
energy is one of the lowest rates for industrial purposes
Sure.
globally at 4.8 cents USD per kilowatt hours, but also the other supporting mechanism like HRDF, the availability of industrial
Right.
and technical colleges across the kingdom,
Right.
where we have more than 40 of them that basically cover multiple industries.
Yeah.
And maybe going back to the topic of opportunities, the Invest Saudi website, it has the approved, or let's say published opportunities,
Yeah.
about 25 of them related to the OEM supply chain and automotive.
Okay.
These combined are worth $10 billion
Wow.
of published
Okay.
opportunities.
Okay.
Plus, we have additional 18 opportunities that basically was developed in coordination with the Ministry of Industry and NIDC. So, in relation to opportunities, they're wide, they're large and massive in scale, and these $10 billion of worth of opportunities are going to support uh, about the 12 or 13 billion dollars worth of announced investment
Right.
happening in the automotive industry.
Right. And just for the benefit of this audience to understand, when you talk about the Invest Saudi website and these opportunities, they do carry insight on, let's say, the size of the market and the size of the opportunity and the viability as well. Correct?
Absolutely, it has teasers for
Right.
investors. Basically, it laid down what are the the summary of the feasibility along what are the major assumptions behind these studies, and
Sure.
also what are the addressable markets as well from the kingdom.
That's interesting. And I guess that's a key takeaway for anyone here who's looking at the market, because you've got a unique portal sitting up there that carries data on the opportunities that are coming up for the kingdom. So if you're looking at manufacturing, that's a great place to start. But from a lucid point of view, right? You guys have come in. I'm sure there's a keenness to see more in the local value chain. What are you seeing on the ground? Any opportunities that
Yeah.
you'd like to bring up?
Sure. I just want to echo what my colleague said that the opportunities are vast, right?
Mm.
Typical EV OEM will have about 300 to 400 active suppliers. So I mean, we're building the vehicle from ground up here, and so we're really looking to localize as much as we can. So it's right now it's a game of musical chairs. So the early birds are going to be the ones that will be keen to onboard. One thing I do want to mention is a success story that we've had with a local vendor. I mean, right now we have Zamil Plastics, who's providing plastic parts for us that are there in every single Lucid Air that's produced in Arizona. So they produce that part in Daman, ship it to Arizona, where it's put in every single Lucid vehicle, and that's really been a success story that we'd like to repeat.
Okay.
right? I mean, we want to develop local suppliers. We want to bring in tier ones to Saudi as well, and we, looking at different models that can be done, and we're really open and working with our counterparts to make that happen.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So we are confirming a lot of opportunities existing out there. We are confirming that with about 300 or 400 suppliers as a potential, there's quite a large landscape available for people to operate. It's not just a very restricted market. We covered a very broad spectrum of topics. I guess maybe starting again, after Ahmed. Any specific insights from you, again, focusing on the investment promotion, the investor journey side of things, that you can give us takeaways to the audience? That would be great because then we move towards trying to wind up the panel as well. So, key takeaways from you on what investors can look at from the incentives, subsidies, initiatives, facilitation support. Let's go down that.
So I think a couple of things, and we are re-emphasizing that all of us are here to support. Any questions, any guidance, um, any gaps you guys see, we are here to support. The other thing is, I'm going to mention what Ali was mentioning, that one success story is not enough from a local supplier. So we're looking at local suppliers who might be in aftermarket, which is a big show here, and some of them are here. Those suppliers who are not OEM suppliers. So how do we bring them quality up? So there are initiatives in our strategy for local supplier development with the OEM, with the government partnership, with other partnerships, and with the third party partnership. So that is one of the things we are looking at. And the plastic parts are the easy one. The other things also, we're looking at wherever the opportunities are with the local suppliers, combining with the global suppliers, and that is the easiest way is done is the global supplier can do the ED&D engineering work, validation work, and then the local supplier partner with them and learn from that global supplier. So that's one thing, and this is part of the strategy. The other thing is we talked about the conventional plastic and steel and other things, but that's not it. Kingdom has a very big ambition: renewable energy, the EV, hydrogen. All these things are on the play, and not only at the higher level. So the battery we talked about the previous presentation, Bosch. So we want to create a value chain of the battery cell.
Sure.
We want to create lithium processing. We want to create the, if it is LFP, the other refining.
Yeah.
And all these on the play, and we will inshallah have the battery cell manufacturing, and this is our goal and target to be locally manufactured.
Okay, so it's really about the value chain being built up.
Exactly.
And I think one important part that you brought up, which I must emphasize to the audience, is that the opportunity is not just in supplying to the OEMs, but the opportunities are also lying in the aftermarket space. Um, Emma, do you want to add something to that as well?
So, key takeaways and maybe lesson learned from meeting with investors from all across the world. I think maybe the most reliable message that we felt that it gave the most of the results, which is we always say come to Saudi Arabia, see it for yourself.
Yeah.
Seeing is believing. So when sometimes some investors they approach new markets, new industries, they read about them, is totally different than visiting the country and
Sure.
actually seeing for themselves the current existing capabilities and where are our goals, and also where does the kingdom actually bet on in terms of the future of the industry, whether we're talking about electric vehicles, lithium ion batteries, and beyond.
Okay, that's interesting. And Ali, again to you for final words on this panel, right? Again, tapping into your experience both globally, locally. Any last words as guidance to people here on what to expect or what to look at as key success factors?
Sure. I'll end with this that I think the biggest incentive here is really the ecosystem
Sure.
and the cohesiveness of that, and the willingness to support and genuinely execute on that singular vision of developing automotive here.
Okay. So it's that ecosystem and support as an emphasis from your side. Fascinating. I think I want to pause at that point between us, and probably if we have time for a couple of questions, well, for two questions really, the floor is open.
Thank you very much for a very wonderful session. I mean, localization is the aim of the automotive, and we're very glad to hear this. I get two questions, one for Aftab and one for Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Aftab, you worked already in different countries. First of all, this is Yasser. I work for Sear Motors, so I'm really into it already, and I know what's going on in the background. Um, my question to you, you worked already in different countries, including the developing countries for automotive. What advices you would give to the local suppliers that they are not yet perceiving the magnitude of what we're doing today, and to accelerate their focus on targeting the automotive as a core activity of what they're doing? That's number one. Number two, you said a very wonderful thing about invest in Saudi. Now, Invest of Saudi, if it's a platform, it will connect all of the efforts that the kingdom is doing. Is going to be something really great. However, I guess for a local companies, we need to do some proactive work. We need to teach them a lot of things that we say here because it's very lucrative. I mean, if I'm an international supplier and I see all of these initiatives, it's a very convincing for me to come and open in the kingdom. Yet, it's not very clarified for them. So I'm not sure if you're already doing some proactive work to explain this in international arena. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Very, very important question. And I will be very candid and honest and direct. Um, I lived in Egypt. We promote local supplier. There are local supply base there. Thailand, Brazil, others, correct? It is a two-way track. It's not a one-way. We are here to help, but help us help you. And sometimes it's a struggle. We are going to local suppliers. We are visiting them. We are offering our help. But whoever will march with us will benefit. If somebody is not ready and think that I'm already making money and I'm okay with that, what can you do? But there are local suppliers. Good example, Ali mentioned. There are other local suppliers, and they're coming to us and marching with us, and we are connecting with the global suppliers. We're trying to help them. SEER is one of the platforms we are using. A lot of your folks are engaged, and your supplier quality team assessing them. And this is what we want. And we want to get them up to a global level export quality suppliers. We did it in Egypt when I was there. Um, we certified them as a global OEM level suppliers, and some of them are exporting with the OEMs other countries. So this is the name of the game. It's a two-way track. Thank you.
Emma?
Thank you. So in relation to Invest Saudi website, it's aimed to create a platform to showcase investment opportunities, to basically publish reports about the state of the economy, in a routine, let's say, fashion, quarterly, monthly, and so on, where basically we are trying to highlight that the economy as well, growing in a steady state fashion that is sustainable, not in an inorganic way. So, and also part of the second part of the question, which is the proactive outreach to investors, we have already made several sessions, all across the globe, be it in China, South Korea, and in Europe and elsewhere, and also some members from SEER actually were there, and some of them also Lucid were invited, and thankfully for your help and support to basically announce this success story of having these first and anchor projects that will create the cornerstone of this exciting industry for us in the kingdom. So yes, we're doing this proactive work, but we're planning for more soon, inshallah. Thank you.
Mr. Maliki,
Sorry. Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Maliki, I came, I saw, and now I believe.
Excellent.
So, we are 6 years away from 2030. Let's fast forward 3 years from now. Most of the programs have been implemented, a lot of jobs have been created, people's income has come up, even especially the lower income people have jobs that pays well, now they can afford to buy vehicles. In parallel with that, you're creating an inflation in the market because of the demand on supply and contractors and everything else. So the wages are going up. So three things. Number one, as these lower end income people become capable to buy vehicles, are there going to be any locally made, low cost vehicles available for them to purchase, or are the Chinese going to fill that gap? Second question, as the inflation will increase the wages, will Saudi be able to sustain its competitiveness? And the third one, as we prepare for all the construction, all the projects that are ongoing, what are we doing to make sure that utility vehicles, such as light commercial vehicle, trucks, etc., are available locally to support the growth of the country?
Well, great question. So in relation to the affordable vehicles here in the kingdom, in relation with in cooperation with Ministry of Industry, we're tackling all of the segments that we could. We're not preserved to a specific segment. We're not preserved for luxury and premium segment, but also to create those low-cost vehicle as well, and also working together with the OEMs and suppliers to basically become much more optimized, lean, and efficient to the point where those lower cost or lower budget vehicles are available for exports as well for the regional markets. Um, and this, basically is the efficiency or the competitiveness. Yes, the kingdom has its own natural competitive advantage, be it in energy security and rates and so on, but also working together with the private sector in the automotive industry to create this, lean and optimized movement. And also, I'll leave it to Aftab if you'd like to add.
Thank you,
once.
Ahmad and Dr. Shah. More experience than me from Michigan. Thank you very much for asking these important questions. Like Ahmad said, our eyes are all the segment, and we're looking at where is the gaps. We are analyzing everything. Strategy covers with the all segments. So A, B, C, D, E, and the affordability
And
and
commercial vehicles as well.
commercial. Yeah. So the commercial vehicle, your third question, we are very aggressively looking at. Although commercial vehicles, the trucks, there are 4 SKD plants in the kingdom, and one of them started in 1977. Mercedes with Jafali Group, still SKD. Volvo with Zahid Group, MAN with Ali Raza, and Isuzu as a Isuzu company. So they are already here, but we're looking at improving the localization. And we're looking at maybe other opportunities in commercial side. And not only that, the segment of the bus. Saudi Arabia is a unique country, but the buses is a big demand because of Hajj and Umrah, because of other things, correct? And because of the big projects like NEOM and Red Sea, and there's a tourism initiatives. So we have a big play to on the table, and by 2030, fast forward, you will see all those fruits on the table. Now inflation comes and goes. I've lived in Brazil, and you know Brazil, Egypt is going through. You know, when I was there, it was only £5 per dollar. Now it's 50. So, but Saudi Arabia has a unique situation. For decades, the currency has not devalued. It's a stable currency, which is the one of the big, and the finance also guy, is one of the big advantage of the country to have a stable currency. Thank you.
I
My
think,
question is,
sorry, do we have time for one more question? Maybe offline? Yeah, please, if you don't mind. I've got the organizers breathing down, but the panelists are available to talk on offline on this. Yeah. So I just want to wind this up then and thank all the panelists for it. Maybe just a quick round of applause from everyone as well
you.
for a great panel here. Thank you all.
Thank you,
I
Abhay.
appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.